Hello and very warm welcome to Digital India Podcast, your platform for insightful conversation with senior industry leaders on innovation, technology, and trends shaping their respective sectors. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. Kayzad Hiramanek, Chief Operating Officer of Edelweiss Life Insurance. With over 25 years of cross industry expertise, Mr. Kayzad is a rare leader who has mastered operation, technology, and customer experience strategy across hospitality, telecom, real estate, and financial services. Mr. Kayzad, it's absolute honor to have you with us today.
Pleasure, Mohammed. It's always a pleasure to speak to like-minded people.
Let me begin by asking you. You have spent almost more than 25 years as a technology as a leader in various sectors. So, if I have to begin with the, let's say, as a leader in the insurance space primarily, how would you describe your leadership style and how it has evolved over the years? Is there anything, any event which changed your understanding of as to how you should be handling the team? How do you meet the expectation of the team?
Yeah, this is a good question. See, you actually, I started right at the bottom as an executive in my first job in the hotels, and then obviously rose up the ladder. So I've been part of a team as an individual contributor. I've been part of the team as somebody who managed projects for teams. Then of course managing people, and then finally managing verticals. So it's been a long journey, and the one thing I've learned very clearly is that irrespective of process, policy, technology, it is people that matter.
Right,
So what is very important for a good leader is to hire people who are smarter than them, if you ask me, and
right,
people who are self-driven,
right.
and more importantly people who can make you redundant, because typically what happens is in leadership sometimes
Mm,
is that people tend to hold on to information, hold on to expertise without democratizing it, which then makes them indispensable.
right,
What is important is that you democratize information, you democratize empowerment, such that people are allowed to take their own decisions, people are allowed to fail,
right,
and then people are allowed to rise, dust themselves off, and
right.
then learn to succeed by themselves. So the
Abs-
job of the leader is to provide guidance, to provide insight, to provide input, but let people learn for themselves.
Absolutely. I think you are absolutely right. The more opportunity you give to the people, to the team member, you are likely to build more leadership among them. But let me ask, because I was going through your profile and you started from executive from a completely different sector to went to telecom to the insurance. I mean, these are highly diverse sector. Uh, what is so unique about this? What really inspired you to be where you are today? If let's say if somebody who's going through your profile, a college students, what would be that? How actually it's all puzzled together?
See, I was struck by a saying when I was in my 20s, that the mind is like a parachute, it needs to be open to work.
Right,
So as long as you're open to work, I mean, no sector really matters, because see, eventually skills and knowledge can be gained. It is your attitude that counts.
right, right.
And I basically, whenever I look for people, also I look for attitude. I
Mhm.
look for the ability to learn, the ability to be part of a team, the ability to speak your mind. Very importantly,
Right.
okay, in India, typically we're kind of hierarchical,
Mhm.
but I'm very happy with people who speak their mind, because
Yes,
at least that way people feel comfortable that they have a voice and they have an identity which they can express.
absolutely, absolutely. Now coming to the your current portfolio, which is
So,
basically around the life insurance. Broadly, if you look at the life insurance in India, it is still relatively very low. I mean, and somewhere around 3 to 4%. So, if I have to ask you, what do you think are the biggest barrier, especially in terms of the adoption, and how organization like yours and overall industry, what are the some of the things that they can actually work upon in order to increase the at least the enrollment ratio? Because in urban areas you might have a decent number, but if you go to the rural areas, awareness is still a huge challenge.
yeah, so if you ask me, I think the biggest challenge to life insurance is a couple of factors.
Right,
India is a young country. So typically, when you're young, you basically don't really consider your mortality or your sense of responsibility very seriously.
right,
So typically, people tend to get married and start getting leveraged, and that is when it kind of strikes them that, hey, it's not only my life, I'm also responsible for others.
Mhm.
And that is when kind of life insurance comes into the fray.
Right.
So
Right.
obviously people start a little bit later in the journey, even though the best time to get into life insurance is when you're early, because
Right.
it gives you a longer runway to accumulate and therefore enjoy the benefits over the long term.
Yes.
These, I think, our sense of financial literacy is also kind of low,
Mm.
because all said and done, it's not a subject in any formal education,
Mhm.
and people tend to understand long term investing quite by experimentation rather than as a process.
Right. Right.
And most financial planners also typically today, they don't really advise for the long term, because quite honestly, as Indians, I don't think we understand the long term in its true perspective.
Right.
I still remember when I started, investing 25 years ago. I remember my financial advisor telling me, "Look, whatever money you're putting away is not for you today. It is
Right.
for you when you're 50."
Yes.
Okay, and I see the wisdom of that today, because I
Mhm.
spent that journey of 25 years putting away money systematically to build the corpus.
Right.
Okay. Thirdly, obviously, insurance products are kind of pretty deep in terms of the fact that they are long term investments, and therefore obviously there is a lot of actuarial science involved in computing the long term and trends, which
Right.
typically the public doesn't understand.
Mhm.
And therefore they typically Indians today look at what is the kind of returns that I'm making.
Mhm.
Insurance is not only about making returns, it is also about the tax saving, it is also about the protection element, it is
Right.
also about investing for a nest egg when you are no longer capable of earning.
Right. Right.
So most people do not understand the concept of the opacity of the product
Mhm. Mhm.
and the complexity of the product over long term, business cycles, interest cycles, etc. So these are typically the challenges that we face.
Right.
Of course, in terms of what we can do to mitigate, I think the our biggest ally in this entire sector is the regulator themselves. I
Right.
think the amount of work that the regulator has done in terms of creating awareness about insurance. So, Sabse
Mhm.
Pehle Insurance was a campaign that they launched. They've then now allocated every insurer with a state to own and educate people, and this has to be discussed at every board in terms of
Mhm.
insurance education initiatives.
Right.
Along with that, they've also, made products a lot simpler. So today, for example, you have surrender values in the first year, which typically was a big sticking point for selling insurance, because people said, "I don't want to pay for 5 years."
Right.
Originally, there was no 5 years also, but even 5 years became a barrier.
Right.
After the regulations of 2011.
Right.
Then, of
Right.
course, it was also it's also a case of the some of the innovations that they've done, like Bima Sugam, which is going to be a industry platform for comparing products, for buying products, for
Right.
servicing yourself.
Right.
It's Bima Vahaks, which is typically female-oriented
Mhm.
insurance advisors. The Bima Bharosa, which was, I
Right.
think, which was a game changer in terms of policyholder protection, because IRDA was the first regulator that actually set up its own operation to handle, cases of mis-selling, to handle cases of, insurers not necessarily listening to customers. So there
Right.
is a lot of stuff that has happened in the regulatory as well as in the technology sphere.
Right.
It was a game changer in terms of
Mhm.
digitization of insurers. So if
Right.
you realize that when we were all working from home, we were still operating, and that
Mhm.
was the time when people bought insurance the most.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I think the industry did a human service to the country, because all those deaths eventually were covered in some form or the other,
Mhm.
and we didn't allow families to go to ruin. So we settled a lot of those claims, despite the fact that we ourselves were sitting at home.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
So stuff like digital death certificates, telemedicals,
Right.
a lot of the online digitized underwriting through
Right.
integration with the Aadhaar stack, etc. So a lot of those innovations have come thanks to the open API system of the country also. So these
Absolutely.
are all the things that are actually going a long way in
Mhm.
making insurance easy to access, easy to buy, and easy to understand.
Right. Right. We also notice in recent past that in the insurance sector, you have the traditional big players. At the same time, there are some young, innovative, a kind of cloud native, digital first kind of companies are also coming up. And what they are doing actually almost similar to what used to be the banking experience way back in 2000. And when the private bank came, they completely overpower with the help of customer experience that they were
Wow.
providing. And same thing is by and large happening even in the insurance sector because the customer are expecting a different kind of delightful experience while dealing with any kind of organization, be it insurance service provider. So if I have to ask you how, especially the Edelweiss, differentiating itself in terms of the customer experience and product innovation, if you could share something as to how you are working on this.
So, let me tell you, actually speaking, I think we launched our company in 2011, and it was very momentous for the fact that we are not a first generation life insurer. We are not even a second generation. We are a third generation life insurer.
Right.
So one of the advantages that we had is that we were able to overcome a lot of the mistakes that the our predecessors had made.
Absolutely.
Okay, so when we launched, we made sure that we were a technology driven company to start with, way
Mhm.
back in 2011.
Mm.
And a lot of the stuff that we talk about as buzzwords today are
Right.
part of our common jargon. So, for example, cloud. I mean,
Mhm.
we are 75% on cloud as our company in terms of our applications, platforms, data.
Right.
Okay. Similarly, on the product piece, for example, a lot of our products today are
Mhm.
so incited with customers that we know precisely which need we are addressing. So, to
Right.
discover that need, for example, we have a platform called U2, which
Mhm.
allows our salespeople structured discussions with customers in terms of need discovery, in terms of protection gap, in terms of long-term investment, planning, in terms of the most suitable products to be investing today, maybe a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, because eventually the human life value grows over a period of time.
Absolutely.
Okay. So our three buzzwords as a company are ease of onboarding, distributor experience, and customer experience.
Right. 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 One more thing that we are actually saying is that there is a lot of focus on artificial intelligence,
Yes.
which has become a kind of buzzword. At the same time, high-end automation and data analytics, and all of these things are what they are doing. They are somehow trying to transform, let's say, some of the basic function of insurance sector, which is underwriting, claims, and customer services.
Absolutely.
If I have to ask you, uh, what is your sense of these technology and how you're trying to leverage few of them, especially the AI?
Sure. So, let me tell you that insurance is the original forerunner of data and data science, because actuarial science is nothing but data science, right? I mean, it's the pinnacle of data science. So
Yes.
insurance companies are based on actuarial science, and therefore the amount of data we collect of customers when we are profiling them through their digital footprints, when we are onboarding them through their own personal declarations,
Right.
when we are looking at their medical histories through the medicals that they do,
Mhm.
when we're looking at their financial statements through integrations with the account aggregator, when we are doing their KYC through their Aadhaar declarations. So
Right.
there is so much data that we accumulate, and therefore after that data is accumulated and customers are onboarded,
Mm.
what we do is we create profiles and we create cohorts, which allows us to then make sure that the next set of customers that come in, as
Mm.
long as their profiles are similar,
Right.
we don't necessarily inconvenience them with asking too many questions, doing too much underwriting, sending them for too many medicals, etc.
Right.
So to that extent, I think we are original proponents of data, big data, data
Mhm.
analytics, machine learning.
Right.
On the AI side, while AI is a big buzzword as we speak,
Mhm.
I don't think there are any proven large scale use cases.
Right.
So there may be use cases in terms of some kind of product development, insighting,
Right.
maybe some kind of data analytics, or through cloud models, etc. But I have not seen any game changing models as we speak.
Mhm.
We are exploring. So there are lots of fintechs that come pitch to us as well.
Mhm.
But we are still looking for that one needle mover, game changer type of use case that can actually change the way things happen.
Right. 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 Do you see, especially the in AI part, and you are absolutely right that people are still at a different journey in terms of utilizing the AI, and you rightly said that the large scale model and large scale things which can actually have a far-reaching impact is yet to be shown. But, do you see, especially the conversational AI, perhaps playing some seminal role in terms of
Yeah.
in the customer service? I
Also, you're right. You are right, Mohammed. To that extent, I think customer service is one place where we've already got chatbots, we've got the WhatsApp platforms, we've got NLP models, etc., which are running.
right.
So to that extent, yeah, that's a fairly proven model.
Mm.
But that happened even before the use of AI. So to that extent, I think a lot of those models still run on structured responses.
Mhm.
But I guess as time goes by and as bots get smarter and AI gets smarter, I'm sure they'll be able to replicate the entire structured tree as well.
Absolutely. So far we have spoken about different technology, including AI, some of the work that you have done, also about the Edelweiss
Yeah.
focus. If I have to ask you something beyond, let's say, AI, blockchain, IoT, telematics, which is becoming an ultimate part of overall technology stack for most of the insurance provider. Based on your experience of more than 25 years, and I think you would have seen the different waves of technology at
Yeah.
different points of time. What do you think down the line, let's say in 5 years, something which you see coming up might have a far-reaching impact on insurance sector?
See, the way I see it is that today the latest trend is on agentic AI,
Right.
and how you can basically replicate human effort or eliminate human effort through agentic AI. So that
Mhm,
is one area where several large language models are working
mhm.
to ease the burden of a lot of the routine activities, etc.
Right.
Has AI actually proven itself in terms of human emotion, in
Mhm.
terms of human decision making? Still, some time to go, if you ask me.
Right.
But I guess it's only going to get smarter with more use cases and
Mhm.
more varied business outcomes.
Right. 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 And from a regulatory perspective, earlier you spoke about as to how our regulatory bodies has played a very important role in terms of creating awareness, taking insurance to the large parts of the country. From a regulatory perspective, I have to ask you, do you see anything which, if is done in a proper way, possibly the adoption of life insurance will become slightly higher? It will help companies like yours and your peers in
See,
terms of doing things slightly better.
if you ask me, the regulator has already set a mission of insurance for all by 2047.
Right,
I think a lot of the work that is being done is seminal in terms of, they are encouraging insurers to be more innovative through sandbox.
right.
So, use technologies, use different. So, for example, one of the things that was very big at one point of time was a voice-based application form.
Absolutely.
The collection of data, the use of data, the democratization of data,
Mhm,
the education of the masses
mhm,
through insurance education, through adoption of states. So there is a lot of work that the regulators doing. The product simplicity,
mhm.
the policyholder protection guidelines. So today, for example, you can't collect money from a proposer or a proposal till you've
Right.
taken a decision. So you don't block the money of the customer.
Mhm,
So there are a lot of things that are being done by the regulator to make life easier. Plus, I
mhm.
think Bima Sugam is, while everybody's waiting for it to happen, I
Right.
think it's going to be quite a game changer in terms of the way people do business with insurers in the future, especially from the digital insurance part of it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I was also going through one of the very recent announcement, an intention of the government, especially the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Ministry of Corporation, headed by Home
Mm.
Minister Amit Shah,
Yeah.
wherein there is a focus on having large number of corporations that we have across the country, some level of bringing them ambit, under the ambit of insurance, so that the large number of people who are associated with some type of corporation, whether it is Amul or any other thing, they
So,
should have access to insurance as a group. Do you see such kind of government planning, or possibly increasing the basket of overall insurance that we have right now?
see, if you ask me, microfinance and group insurance is an old phenomenon.
Mm,
And as long as groups are insurable,
mm.
from a size and a insurable interest perspective,
Right.
it is only going to keep growing. So there is nothing new about this, and the government will keep pushing insurers to take on.
Mm.
For example, your PMJJY
Right.
is a classic example of that. That I mean, you're a bank customer. That's also a group, right? So you pay whatever 12 rupees and you get X amount of insurance.
Mhm.
So that's going to continue to be democratized, and the government is going to continue to encourage people to be under some insurance umbrella or the other.
Right. Right.
But nothing new about this.
Absolutely. So before I let you go, let me ask you the last question. And what is there are a lot of young people who are in the transition phase, maybe who would have actually headed some of the team member, and now they are at the stage of wherein they are taking some lead, and possibly tomorrow they will be the leader in their respective organization. So, what is the one piece of advice you'd like to give to young leader who might be just stepping into shoes which you have already gone through? What is some of the thing that they must actually imbibe?
Well, I also fall into the category of a young leader. So I'm still imbibing stuff. But But I mean, that was on a lighter note. But if you ask me, I think the one thing that I would advise young leaders who are finally managing people is that A, trust your people.
Right.
B, allow them to, do stuff by themselves, allow them to fail, pick them up, allow them to dust themselves off and move forward.
Absolutely.
Because see, unfortunately, as a society, I think we are very afraid of failure. I think innovation and progress only happens when you fail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree with you, Mr. Kayzad. Thank you so much for taking out time for this podcast. I think you spoke on most of the thing quite candidly, quite openly, and it was a really insightful conversation with you. So thank you so much once again for taking out time.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.